One of the best kept secrets, I think, right now in big time college volleyball are the Kansas Jayhawks. Undefeated, ranked 10th in the country, ninth in the RPI. And their coach, Ray Bechard, joins me now from Lawrence, Kansas. And you got to be pretty proud of what's happening with your Jayhawks.
Obviously, the Jayhawks are off to a good start. We've had a pretty successful pre-conference, and we've got a good start now that conference play is going. But we also understand that the meat of our conference schedule still lies ahead of us.
Yeah, you got it. Like, just for example, this week coming up, Iowa State, Baylor, Oklahoma, and then, nobody likes to look too far ahead if you're a coach, but we do, and say, wow, if you can win these next three, you go to Texas a week from Saturday or whenever that is, Friday. How cool would that be?
That would be good, but like you said, coaches tend to take it one at a time, and our full attention is to our next match with Iowa State, who's playing at a very high level right now. But if we could keep some momentum going, that would set up a pretty big match in Austin.
You've been to, I think I'm right, last three NCAA tournaments?
We've been to the last three NCAA tournaments, yes.
Yeah. And is this team, in comparison, more apt to do well in postseason? And I know it's early, but it seems like you got a lot of weapons, a lot of experience, a lot of balance.
I think that's one of the keys is the balance, is that there's a lot of people we can go to. There's kids we've utilized more than others in situations where we really needed to score. But as of late, we've had five attackers that our setter, Anise Havili's been able to go to in clutch situations. So I think that lends itself to maybe some success if we can get to that point, because we're a little harder team to maybe game plan for.
Yeah, you mentioned Anise. She obviously is a fantastic setter. I mean, the Big 12's recognized her a few times already this year, and you talk about her a little bit if you don't mind.
Yeah, Anise, we threw her into the fire as a freshman, and she handled it very well. I think she led the Big 12 in assists as freshman, and this year she's much more comfortable. We put a few more weapons around her. Us moving Kelsey Payne from the middle to the right side, I think, has been a big boost to our offense. But she's pretty tremendous in what she does in her ball distribution, in her inset decision making, and she's very good with a game plan when she knows what we want to get done entering a match.
Anise's from Fort Worth. You mentioned Kelsey, who's only hitting .416 so far for the season from the right side, which is pretty stout. Of course, she's from Austin and a product of that whole system there. That's going to be a challenge, keeping her from looking ahead for the next 10 days, because that's got to be so cool for her to be going back there under these circumstances.
Yeah, and we have five kids from Texas on our roster, so we've made some inroads with recruiting there. Obviously, we have four schools from Texas that we play in the Big 12. So when TCU joins the conference a couple of years ago, that kind of opened up the Dallas-Fort Worth area for us. And Madison Rigdon's from the Austin area too, from Pflugerville. So I'm sure both those kids will be excited to go back to Austin.
You got a pretty interesting geographic mix of players on your team, but you do have Kansas players, and the one you're a big middle, Taylor Susi from, and let me see if I can say Osawatomie, Kansas, wherever that is. And Kansas is a tough place to recruit because I know that club volleyball is really good in the Kansas City area and in Wichita, but not necessarily in other places around the state. So that's a challenge for you.
It has been a challenge, but I would say the last few years that the growth in the Kansas City area and the Topeka area has been a real positive situation for our recruiting. Susie did her club volleyball in Kansas City, which really helped her. Cassie Wade, a kid from Gardner, our libero, is having an outstanding season from Gardner Edgerton, and she played some club volleyball in the Kansas City area too. So we're hopeful that it'll continue to grow in this area, and maybe the Jayhawks and what they're trying to do and the success they're having will be an opportunity to help with that growth.
Oh, there's no doubt. I'm glad you said Topeka, because I should have mentioned Topeka. It's always been a really, really good area for girls club volleyball. So you're a Kansas guy through and through. I know you played at Barton, then you played basketball, right? And played basketball at Fort Hays State. And then you went and coached volleyball for, 13 years at Barton? I mean, you don't get any more Kansas than that.
Yeah, yeah, Grinnell, Kansas. If you know where that's at, you obviously have gone down Interstate 70 to the west a few times. Yeah, started my college career at Barton County Community College and actually coached 3 years at Lewis, Kansas. That's where I got my volleyball start when they gave me no choice. If I wanted a contract, I needed to coach volleyball. So that's how I got into volleyball. But the time at Barton was very productive for me as a student and as a coach. Got me my feet on the ground at the collegiate level and I guess prepped me for an opportunity, a once in a lifetime opportunity, in my opinion, at the University of Kansas.
When you got to Kansas 18 years ago, what did you envision? And have there been times when it's been really hard to sustain to get to the point where you've been the last 5 years?
Yeah, the program was a little bit in disarray, and if you remember the Big 12 back then, that was Nebraska, Texas A&M, Colorado, Missouri was a part of that group. So we had national team player type level players in the conference at that time. Stacy Sikora was in the league from A&M, Dimitri Sants, who was at Texas, and the Nebraska teams at that time. So it was an uphill climb, but we got a little better each year. Maybe 7, 8 years in, that's when we really got going and went to 3 NCAA tournaments in a row. Had a little lull again where the injury bug bit us a little bit. But the last 4 or 5 years, we've got the momentum going again in a revamped Big 12, but a Big 12 that's still as competitive as ever.
Well, it's real exciting. It's fun to be able to talk to somebody from one of the schools that doesn't usually get all the publicity. I think it'd be great for the college volleyball world if you guys could go really far in the NCAA tournament. So I want to thank you for hanging out with us and for talking about your team, and good luck. And you don't look ahead, but I will. I sure hope you stay undefeated going to Texas a week from Friday.
That'd be awesome. And we sure appreciate everything you do to promote our sport.